I would like to talk about the topic of desire today. If you look up the definition of desire, it is a craving or yearning, an emotion directed toward attainment or possession of an object, sensual appetite, physical desire. But the root of it is from the Old French désir, from désirer, which means from the stars, or awaiting what the stars will bring. It comes from the root word sidus, which is heavenly body, star, or constellation. From a magical point of view, our true desires, our heart's desires, are from the stars. And who are we but stars? So that is where we can find the true essence of our nature is in our heart's desires. Now, it's important to differentiate between an ego lust and a desire. It's not that lust is bad. It's not that it's evil or sinful. It's just that very frequently the ego will use a lust in order to distract from our true desires, or sometimes even to sabotage our true desires. So it's worth questioning all of what we think our desires are, so that we can go for the ones which are bringing us closer to our true selves, and we can avoid and choose against the ones which are there to distract or to destroy us. In that regard, having a differentiation between lust and desire is more than just semantics for us. It helps us to sort through what's happening. Because in magic, it's impossible to have any results without a strong desire. You will not have results unless you have a strong desire. If you can't desire something, it can't manifest for you. Because desire is the catalyst. That's the secret sauce, desire. So you have to really want something in order to put the power into a spell. And then, once it's over, you have to let it go and know that it's coming. It's not that you're squelching the desire, but you're letting your desire know it's happening. It's on its way. You've done your job. Desire is more than just a longing or a wish. It's the potential for any kind of abundance within us. Whatever abundance you're looking for, in whatever area of your life your spell happens to be about. That desire is your best friend. It comes straight from your source. You could say that's the way the gods are knocking on the door. The connection between abundance and desire is inseparable. Your desire for abundance on any level is straight from source. It's the catalyst for all magic. And if you can't find a strong desire in your heart for something, don't do the magic for it. Wait until you do have a strong desire in your heart, or do magic on something which you already possess that strong desire. You can't expect a spell to work for you if you don't have a strong desire. If you believe that you should have something or that you really need something and you're going to do a spell on it, it's not going to work for you very well. I better do a spell because I should have this. Should is not a strong enough emotion. When it comes straight from your heart of hearts, that is the universe calling out to you. Get busy, get moving. This is on its way. It's the signaling to move from potential to realization. If you consider the infinite as the source of all creation and abundance, it's pre-gender, it doesn't have a form, you can't anthropomorphize it, you can't make an idol out of it, you can't make a statue out of it, it's beyond all of that. If you realize that force that creates all the galaxies, all the stars, all the everything, also creates you in the moment. It's the reason why your heart is beating now. It pours desire into your heart in order for you to achieve or receive those things. Your desire inside your heart is the way that you can find closeness with this force. If you are following the desires of your heart, not only do you get to have what you want, but you also get closer to the infinite, because that's where you and the infinite connect and that desire. There's always that desire to expand, always that desire to become more of yourself in whatever form is appropriate in that time. And there's no wrong desires in that regard either, because if it's coming from the source, if it's coming from your heart, it's pure, it's perfect. Now, some people, when they say desire, they mean lust. And again, we're not saying it's wrong to have lusts, but the lusts, as we're describing them and defining them today, are not the same thing as the desire that's coming from your heart. For instance, say you desired a ring. I really want that ring. I love this golden ring. I love the diamond on it. I just love it. I want that so much. And that ring happened to belong to somebody. Your desire for the ring isn't bad. It's not necessarily a lust. That could be the universe calling for you to have something like that for yourself. But if you believe that you desire her ring, that's a lust. That's not coming from the infinite. The infinite doesn't need you to get so-and-so's ring or so-and-so's wife or so-and-so's house or any of those things. The infinite has all of the assets and resources necessary for you to have what you want. So you don't need to be jealous or covetous of other people's experiences in order for you to want one of your own. This or something even better is the way that we deal with that. I want a ring just like that or even better. You can think of desire as a form of communication. It's a device of communication between you and the infinite. If you're communicating to the infinite, yes, I want this, then the infinite's communicating to you, yes, I want this for you, then you know you're on the right beam. But if you're lusting after something that's not coming straight from your heart, and you say to the infinite, this is what I really want, and the infinite says to you, I think you want this. You want to listen to that pull to change the form of your desires, to fine-tune it so that you're on the right beam. Because when you're on the beam of desire with you and the infinite together as one co-creator, nothing can stop you. But if you're trying to go after what you're calling a desire all on your own, you might be able to get it, but it probably won't make you happy and it may not last. But if you're working in union with the infinite, and it's desiring for you, and you're desiring for it too, and you're having that communication, that back and forth, what that does is it propels that desire to manifest. There's a principle of supply and demand. There's a supply for every need. It already exists in the spiritual realm. We talk about this when we talk about Shekinah and infinite substance. There is an infinite amount of substance. There is no shortage of substance of Shekinah. She doesn't have a little bit of herself. She's unlimited. So there's unlimited substance. There's unlimited life in the universe, and there's unlimited substance. So whatever you want, you can have it. If there's a demand for it, the supply is already there. So if you and the infinite are working together, it's much faster for you to get that supply to come together to satisfy your demand, because it's the natural way things work. But without that desire, there's no demand. And so you can't expect the supply to come and rush into it. And if it's a lust that you have that's different and separate from the desire that the universe has for you, you can still impress the substance with your lust and you still may be able to get a manifestation of it. But it's not going to have the same kind of power to make you happy. And it's definitely not going to have the lasting power that it will have if you're working with the infinite. Your desire is the catalyst that activates the supply into manifestation. That's how powerful it is. If you have a desire for something, what we call a righteous desire of your heart, it's evidence to you that it's on its way. Your desire is the thing itself in incipience, in potential. If you lean into that desire, that potential must realize itself. There are such things as unrealized desires in the world. And that's why it's so important to train your mind and to train yourself, magically speaking, so that you can lean into the desires in a way that ensures their manifestation rather than being on a treadmill of unfulfilled desires. That which is pyramid, faith, imagination, will, and secrecy, provide the structure of manifestation for desire. But if you don't have desire, working that pyramid by itself isn't going to do much for you because there's no catalyst. There's no demand. Supply can't come rushing in no matter how well you create your spell or ritual. You can have the best ritual in the world. You can have all the faith in the world, all the imagination. You can will it to be there. You can be quiet about it. You can do all the right things. But if you don't have that burning desire, that demand, then you have no catalyst. It's like having your house wired for electricity and having all of the most beautiful light switches in the world and never flipping them on. It's ready for you. It's in potential. But if you don't flip the switch on, it won't work. You won't get the light. Your desire is the energy behind all of your spells. The Bible talks about promises a lot. There's a lot of promises in the Bible. And people don't realize what that means. If you look at the Bible as a magical textbook, it reads so differently than if you look at it as a religious text. Whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament, it doesn't matter. As a textbook on magic, those promises are simply laws, natural laws. When you hear about a promise in the Bible, it's a metaphysical law. Desires are our own version of promises. Anytime you have a true desire, it's a promise of its fulfillment. The desire will work itself out if you let it, if you don't stop it. Your desire is a law unto itself that will always find manifestation if you let it. If you don't stop it, if there's nothing countering it. Now, if you are working in connection with the infinite, if you are one with the infinite, there literally is nothing that can stop it. You don't need to plead some deity or persuade some deity. They need to help you or they need to give you this. You don't need to entice an entity. You don't need to do any of that stuff to get your desires met. Desire in and of itself is enough. It is the first stage of manifestation. Sincere, righteous desires of the heart activate manifestation. Spellcasting in any kind of magical operation is a way to contextualize your desire in such a way that you are giving it a framework for manifestation. And you could see all magical operations in that regard as devices of communication between your surface mind and your deep mind. But they're there to serve the desire. If you don't start with the desire, don't bother with the spell, because the spell is simply there to provide a means to communicate your desire to your deep mind in an efficient way. Now, if you didn't do spell casting, you'd find another way. If you weren't working spells and magic, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. You'd find another way because the desire itself is the promise, is the law. We're fortunate because we have such great systems of manifestation available to us in our magical practices. Those magical practices, such as the witch's pyramid, etc., are there so that we can protect our desires from being sabotaged by those other parts of our minds. We have a framework. We can use that framework, but we have to understand that that framework is only there to support the manifestation of a desire. But without the desire, the framework isn't powerful. Expressing our desire initiates the alignment with it. And that's when we express it in our spellcasting, perhaps as symbols on an altar, or images in our mind, or words that we're incanting. We do all kinds of wonderful things to instigate and bring about the change that we desire. The next step, regardless of what kind of spellcasting procedure you use, is acting as though you have already received it, down to being grateful. All magic does have its price. Let's be clear. All magic has its price. There's a price for everything. And it's not just magic that has its price. Everything has its price. You want to learn how to drive? You've got to practice driving. That's the price. You want to become good at the piano? You have to practice your piano. That's the price. You want a ring? You have to either buy one or you have to barter or you have to trade something for it. There's a price. And if you try to circumvent the price, the universe will balance that out at some point or another. So it's better not to circumvent that. Part of the price here in getting your desires met is doing the work necessary. One of the other prices that we must pay is gratitude. Because if you're not grateful for what you receive, it's not that you're going to be punished and that it's going to be taken away because you're not a good enough person. It's just that energetically speaking, you're on a different beam, and manifestation always follows energy. And that's the part of the law of compensation right there. And so one way to compensate for what it is that you want is through gratitude. Because the more grateful you are, the more you are focusing that energy on that manifestation principle itself. And if you can be grateful for something that hasn't yet manifest, you're speeding up the process. If you can act as though it's already here and say, thank you, I'm so grateful for this, and find all kinds of ways to feel grateful and be grateful, you're going to get it. But that's very different than saying, I owe the universe such and such a thing in order for me to get what I want. There's an exchange of energy that must take place in any kind of thing, no matter what it is. And so rather than it being this transactional thing of like, I'm going to pay for it and then I'm going to get what I want, we think of it in terms of the price that I'm paying for something is gratitude. The price I'm paying for something is giving up not having it. The price I'm paying for something is doing everything that I need to do in order to achieve what I'm achieving. Anytime somebody becomes an overnight success, usually it's because they've been working for 20 years on it and nobody's noticed until now. Very rarely are they an overnight success and they haven't put any effort into something. So they paid for it. That was the price of it. And part of the price of magic is being able to stoke the desire, to be with that desire, and to allow that desire to complete itself, and to do that in a state of gratitude. Now, when you're grateful for something, you spontaneously and organically want to give. You want to give. Now, how do you give to the infinite that already has everything? Ask. How can I give? How can I give? Where can I give in order for this desire to be fully manifest? Because I know that all receiving, it has to be preceded by giving in this world. Where do I give? And the universe will tell you. The universe will tell you where to give and what to give and how to give. And you're not doing it because it's some price that's being extracted from you. You're doing it because you can't wait to give, because you know that this is getting you even more in touch with the manifestation of your heart's desire. That's another reason why so many people fail at magic, is because they don't understand the price of magic. On one hand, they think, okay, all magic has its price. And then they have this sort of 70s horror film, where they have to like draw blood or something like that. How would that even make sense, that the universe of all that exists, that adores and loves you, would want you to have some sort of painful sacrifice in order to get what you want? That doesn't even make sense logically. So we know that's off the mark. So when we are looking at the price that we're paying for something, it's obviously going to involve some sort of joy, some sort of giving, and some sort of gratitude. So if we can pay that price in advance, we have put ourselves on the fast track to the manifestation of our desire. The point today is the desire itself has to be the catalyst. That feeling of desire is everything. Leaning into the feeling of desire, especially the desire that centers at the heart chakra or right behind the heart. If you can lift that desire up into that area of your being, right behind your heart, you're at one with the creative essence of the entire universe, because that's where that creative essence is centered in your physical being, is right behind your heart. When you feel that lifting up behind your heart and the desire at the same time, the more you can feel that, the better, especially in the process of your spellcasting, whatever you're using. If you're doing incantations or visualizations, chants, whatever you're doing, there's so many different ways to cast a spell. If you can lean into that feeling right behind the heart of the desire, what you want, and really feel the desire, want it and desire it, and you see how it is from the stars. Desire really is from the stars. It really is coming straight from source. The more you lean into it, the faster those manifestations happen. If you can get into paying the so-called price for your magic right away, so much the better and so much the faster when it comes to manifestation. Desire is the most important part of your magic. If you don't have desire, don't bother. And where you can feel that desire in your body is going to really show you and help you to understand whether or not you are desiring in connection with the creative power of the universe or whether you're trying to create some lust all on your own. And again, that's not that that's bad. It's just that it's not going to make you happy. If you have that desire in connection with the infinite, the manifestations are only going to bring you joy and happiness. And the payment required is also going to be joyful and happy as well. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.